Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome award-winning journalist and NAACP-nominated host, Gia Peppers, and Emmy-nominated actress and writer, Natasha Rothwell, for Color of Conversation.
What's up, everybody? How are you? Good. Y'all look amazing. Was that not hilarious or what? Moving and unexpected, but let's get into it. Joining me is Emmy-nominated and Peabody-winning actor, writer, director, and producer, Natasha Rothwell. Natasha's remarkable career includes The White Lotus, Insecure, and Wonka, just to name a few. How to Die Alone marks Natasha's first project under her overall deal with Onyx Collective. Natasha serves as the series creator, co-showrunner, executive producer, and star under the banner of her production company, Big Hattie Productions. Please join me in welcoming the woman of the hour, Natasha Rothwell!
I'll see you, yeah. Oh, there we go. Hi, guys. Hi. Thanks for coming.
Okay, so first of all, the show. I love it. I also am so mad at you for reading my diary. Like, what were you?
You know.
How did you get it? But no, let's talk about this whole series. How to Die Alone is powerful. It's moving. It's irreverent. It's unexpected, and it's so funny, and I think so relatable. And with all the work that you've done, what inspired you to create this series, and why was it important for you to also play the lead character of Mel?
Well, for me, this show is kind of a love letter to the unhealed version of myself. I was running around New York City in my 20s and was desperately seeking love and wanting not to be alone. And, you know, 20 plus years of therapy.
Amen to therapy.
I have learned that it was me that I needed to be chasing and me I needed to be loving. And so I wanted to write a show that spoke to the granular difference between being alone and being lonely. Because I have a lot of friends who are partnered that are very lonely. And as someone who's single, I live by myself, I'm not lonely at all. I have life full of love. And so it was exciting to explore those themes in a show where I could see someone who looks like me being allowed to experience the full range of emotions. And that's why I had to play Mel and I had to write the show.
So good, so moving. And I think that's so powerful. You wrote this. Yeah, go ahead, yeah. I love it. See, this is my type of audience because the African American Film Festival, we here at the Vineyard.
Yeah.
But these are people, you know, so we gonna clap in between every answer. It's like,
and this is only the second time I've seen the pilot with an audience, and this is much bigger. And when Rory is in bed with Ben, you're like, woo! I was in the back getting my life. I just love us.
It's always the ooh and the That's when you know you got him.
I got him.
You know what I'm saying? When we talked about, you said the unhealed version of yourself. Oh man, let's not cry up here. But how does this version of Natasha go from Mel to Natasha? What do you think is that key theme that really helped you to get healed? What did you learn in therapy that you were like, oh, this is gonna be a different Natasha?
Radical self-acceptance, pencils down. Like, what happens when we stop trying to edit ourselves and change who we are to fit into a narrative that we had no part in writing? And so I got to write this narrative, and so it was very exciting to put the I was going to say shackles, but that sounds hyperbolic, but it's just true, but the shackles of that mindset on screen to hopefully allow people to see themselves in the character of Mel and root for her and at the same time root for themselves. And I think a consequence of that is being less lonely, being able to see someone go after what it means to actually be living.
I love that. You've played so many beloved characters, including Piper in Wonka, Belinda in The White Lotus, which is back. We so excited, which got you that Emmy nom for Best Supporting Actress. Yes. And of course, we could never forget our Kelly in Insecure. And I was at the opening reception last night, and I was so excited. I was bragging. I was like, yeah, tomorrow I'm interviewing Natasha Rothwell on the stage. And every person I talked to was like, every time I saw her on screen, I wanted a spinoff with just her.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, every time I watched her, yep. Every time I watched her, I wanted to know more about her story, where she was going, what is Kelly doing in the growth? What was Kelly going to grow through? What does it feel like to finally step into the spotlight? You also play so many roles in this project. So talk to me about balancing that in this moment of really owning, like, you are the face of this show.
It's crazy.
What's that like for you? Yeah.
It's crazy. I think because I play Kelly, people think I have main character energy in real life. I do not. I do not. I'm usually at home doing a crossword puzzle, watching a murder doc. So to be in the spotlight in this way for something that I've created, it's been 7 years in the making. And yes, 7 years. It's 2016. I got a development deal. Yeah, y'all, I'm gonna clap for that too.
You did it.
I did it. I did a thing. And so when you work on something for so long, you're just never certain, especially in Hollywood, in this climate, in a post-strike world, that anything will see the light of day. And so I'm just so grateful for the opportunity for this show to exist. And yeah, it's an adjustment period being in the spotlight. I've loved playing all of these supporting characters and writing for other people, but it hits different when you get to do it for yourself. And you know, Issa and I are super close, and I've definitely hit her up over this process being like, girl, and she's like, girl, girl, because running a show is no joke. And so, no, I'm just really grateful that this came to fruition, and that, like most things that are worthwhile, they take time, and I'm just glad that I didn't give up.
We are glad you didn't give up either. Do you feel... There was that scene in the bar, the one that almost always gets me to tears, is when you were saying, I want to be seen. I want to be loved. With that, the context of the conversations we are all having about you, even when you announced this coming out, so many people were like, this is the show I'm ready to see. Do you feel loved and seen at this moment in your career?
Well, now you trying to make a bitch cry too. No. Damn.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I do. I think that the journey to receiving that love, it ebbs and flows, because obviously it's not, you don't graduate from therapy with a degree. I wish you did. But every day it's just a constant acceptance that I'm worthy and deserving of this. And I think that we go through life sometimes not always believing that about ourselves. And it feels very wild to be here. But that line in the show is ripped straight from therapy sessions, where it's just like, I do want to be seen. I do want to be loved. And you have this desire, especially if your focus is on romantic love, and you miss the forest for the trees, because platonic and familiar love are so rewarding and so fulfilling. And obviously romantic love is wonderful and beautiful, but I felt, especially in my early 20s when I was less healed, that was going to be the antidote. That was going to fix it all. And it's quite the opposite. It's loving myself and including that familial and platonic love, and being full off of myself, so that way the romantic stuff is just a beautiful, delicious dessert to supplement a rich, full life. And I'm just really grateful that I was able to put those words in her mouth on screen, so that other people can know that they're not alone in those feelings. But we're gonna go on the journey with Melissa as she tries to unpack that. And one of the references we used in the writer's room to refer to the character of Melissa was a Roomba vacuum cleaner. And we were always saying, when you turn on a Roomba for the first time, it hits every wall in a room as it cleans up just to get to know its parameters.
Wow.
And so to have a character that is like that Roomba who's gonna activate because of this accident, we're gonna see her hit wall after wall after wall, but she's gonna keep going. And I feel like so often in these stories of, you know, you have a post-near-death experience story, it's kind of like a before and after picture. And I wanted to write a show about the during.
So good, so good. So all of the hats you wore on this show, creator, co-showrunner, executive producer, star, I'm sure you were all over the place during this series when you filmed, but which role did you enjoy the most?
Oh my goodness. This question is so hard for me because it sounds so like, no, I love them all the same, but I did. I did. Because for me, each one of those capacities exercised a different expression of my calling. Ooh. So for me to write the story, to produce it, to be in the writer's room, all of those pieces are creative. And so to me, it was just like, oh, this is a different kind of expression of the same passion, the same dream. And so it's not a cheat to say all of them. But yeah, there's something magic about writing something and then saying it on screen and then watching it and editing it and like doing the whole thing. So it's like giving birth.
Yes, yes. This is one of your babies.
My only baby, because I am in real life. That's not my calling. This is my children, my child.
Well, we love your baby.
So when we think about this, 2016, you said it took 7 years for this to come alive. The Onyx Collective partnership is such a major, beautiful moment to celebrate. Why were they the right partners? And then also tell me a little bit about Big Hattie Productions. Why did we name it for Hattie McDaniel from your perspective?
Well, for those that don't know, Hattie McDaniel, she was the first Black woman to win an Oscar for Gone with the Wind. Let's clap for Hattie in absentia. And for me to come in, and I did theater from a very young age. So to be in a school auditorium right now, I also was a high school theater teacher for a minute. But all of that to say, I'm very nerdy about theater and theater history and Hattie's journey from being, a supporting actor in everything she did, but to do the kind of work that made you take notice has been a hallmark of my career. Because I feel like Kelly was a supporting character, but I wanted to play the type of character that made people notice, even though that she was supporting. And a huge part of Big Hattie Productions, what we do is center marginalized stories. And so often in a very white, homogenous landscape that is Hollywood, so many of the interesting characters are sort of left to be on the periphery. And so a production company is making sure that we turn the camera from what we're traditionally expecting to see and really elevate those stories. And we really focus on characters who have humanity before page one. What I've been finding in Hollywood in my short time around the block is I would get these scripts and they would spend actual page real estate explaining away my otherness, my fatness, my blackness, and then the story would start on like page 20. And so for me, I'm just like, for the shows that I write, produce, direct, and star in, the humanity of the character is not up for debate. That exists before page one, so the story can just start. And so that was why I created Big Hattie and why I love it. And in terms of partners, I think it's important to find a place that can see the vision that you have and allow you to fight for it and trust your instincts. And so it's been an incredible journey. Like I said, it started with HBO where I did the development deal. I was there for 6 years doing that and then bringing it, or 5 years or so, and then brought it over to Disney. And so I'm just grateful that it was given this opportunity, it was greenlit, and we're here now.
We're here now. We're all grateful for that too. I want to get into the nuts and bolts of how this came together. Like, how long did you film? Where did you film? How long ago was it? Tell me about what it was like for you, especially on that first day on set. You, Natasha Rothwell, the star, co-executive producer, show creator, all the things. What was it like for you on set? Take me behind the scenes, the nuts and bolts of How to Die Alone.
It was bonkers. We shot in Toronto during the winter. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. It is cold as fuck. It was freezing. And at day one, my on-set assistant, Leah, who's incredible, conspired to get my friends and family to make me a video sort of like compilation of just like, you got this, like, and didn't tell me about it. Luckily, she played it for me before I was hair and makeup because I like snot. You know, like the pant cry you do when you're a kid, like you can't catch it. I was like doing the ugly pant cry. But yeah, that was like day one, and we went right into production. Luckily, I had the foresight of making sure that all the scripts were in the can before we shot. So often on Insecure, we would go into production and not every script would be sort of completed. And I just found that like running over to Video Village and going to Easton, getting notes on a script and then running back, and I didn't want that tension for myself on stage. And so we went into production with everything, all the scripts finished, which really allowed the multiple hat wearing, although difficult, to go a little bit more smoothly than I think it would have otherwise. And yeah, it was a blur. I tried to describe it because people would come up to me on set and be like, you have so much energy, like where is this coming from? And I couldn't really explain it. And to this day, I really can't. Like the closest I can get to is it feels like I am currently in flow creatively, and I am in my purpose and in my calling currently. And so, thank you. So there really is this like endless reservoir of energy that comes from being in those places. And so I was able to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, take a call on the way to hair and makeup, be in hair and makeup, pivot to production meeting, head to set, pick out the props, go through, like do all of the prep work, and I by no means did it by myself. There's an amazing team that helped me. The production team was amazing. The writers are incredible, one of whom is here, Halstead, one of our co-APs, who is just a gift in and of himself. But yeah, it's folks like him, and I feel grateful that I was able to pick such amazing people to help me, hold me up this whole time.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. Yeah. And speaking of the people, I also want to get into your incredible cast. I mean, I loved seeing Conrad Ricamora. I haven't seen him since How to Get Away with Murder. I didn't realize how much I missed him until he popped up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love him. And Jocko Sims from New Amsterdam, who plays your ex-ish kind of, what are we gonna get into?
What are we gonna do?
What is gonna happen? But describe the casting, why when you saw these characters, why they fit, and how it felt to see your cast bring these words that you have been holding for years finally to life. What did that feel like?
Well, I definitely took a page out of Issa's handbook in terms of cast and finance men.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you very much. Yes, we can clap for that. Yeah.
I was just like, we gonna go ahead and live that fantasy out. So we have Jocko Sims and Keelan Darrell Jones, who plays one of the Tarmac boys. They're sort of love interests. And then Conrad is just incredible. He's on Broadway right now in Oh Mary, which if you have not seen, go see. It's so good. But it was unreal to hear the words coming out of their mouth. And even Halstead can attest, when we were doing screen tests, because we had to do them via Zoom because we were still one toe in, one toe out of a pandemic. It was being on the screen, watching them say the things that I had written, and it blew my mind. I was like, this is crazy, like crazy. But it's so fulfilling to see how much they added to the character, and the words come alive when they're put in the right mouths. So I'm really grateful. Casting was incredible. So grateful to the casting team. Yeah.
There's so much. I got to see the first 3 episodes, y'all. It's such a dope world that we get to escape to with you. And I'm excited to see how these characters go on their journey. You also have Black women directors and so many incredible directors that are a part of this show. Talk to me about the intentionality of creating the directors who would help you tell this story as well.
Yeah. they're incredible. They're all women of color, not all Black, but all women of color. For me, it was so important to actually cash the check that I write with my mouth in terms of being for us and by us. And so when given the opportunity to do this, it was just like, okay, am I just gonna be a mouthpiece, or am I actually gonna be a part of this movement to change the landscape of television? And so to me, that was a no-brainer. And what's so entirely frustrating was there were so many to pick from. Wow. There's so often the lie perpetuated in Hollywood that there just aren't a lot of, women of color who are directing, and that's false. Yeah. They're there, and I think given the opportunity, they shine, and we definitely had that with this show.
I love that. The lie is so prevalent, that you're able to be like, no, I actually have several.
There's several options.
There's a database, and I'm going to pull from it.
They're out there.
This music is also such an amazing touch point. When y'all was on the cart to see Lizzo, you got the DMX. I was like, oh, yes, that's exactly what you do when you and your friends are about to go do something crazy. How are you personally inspired by music? And talk to me a little bit about the music supervision of this show.
Yes. We had amazing composer, Wendy Wang, who gave us the instrumental parts. But as far as the music goes, I'm very particular about music. I write with it. I'm a little neurospicy, so So I wear my headphones a lot of the time, just for my own sort of grounding. And playing music, especially when I lived in New York, it was like a soundtrack to my day, and so it influenced my feeling and my emotion. And so I really was clear with the studio that we needed a good budget, and they gave us a good budget, thankfully, because DMX is not cheap. He's getting his. But it's to me exciting that people have bit onto it, because we're genre agnostic, because I listen to everything. If I'm at a party and they put my, I was gonna say iPod, that shows my age, my iPhone on shuffle, I would never do it, because anything is likely to come up.
Right.
Like anything. Yeah. Like anything. So I was excited to allow the music of the show to be dictated by the story and not the reverse.
I think it really brings every part to life. Like, we heard all types of genres just in episode 1. So I love to go on that musical side of the journey. Now, there is so much we could talk about with your journey to your career, to you growing up in Wichita, Kansas, to literally being an Army brat who you were living so many different places. Then you taught high school theater, SNL, Insecure, all the different ways we can talk about you and your career, but we only have like 3 minutes left. So what we're gonna do is, I wanna know how it feels for you right now, from all those different journeys, all those different roles you played, writer, producer, editor, all the different things. And you are showing for the first time, this is your first time at the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival.
Yeah.
And you're presenting your series to an audience full of amazing Black people. I mean, and people of color, and men allies even. What does this moment feel like for you?
It feels very surreal, but I'm trying to be present in this moment right now on stage next to you. We've been through the journey together. It's not our first time meeting.
No.
We love each other, and so it feels really special, because I think I look back at all the things that she went through, the very sort of varying paths my career took in order to get here. And I referenced this and no one's gonna get it. There's an old CD-ROM, like 8-bit video game called Monkey's Island. Yeah, okay, we got one. Two. And the premise is the pirate, he goes on this journey, right? And he collects these random ass shit, like a flute and a little cup of grog, and like, you don't know what it's for until you get there. And showing up here, I can look back at my time teaching and what that gave me to be on set in front of actors, because they are real children. Listen. So it was being able to talk to them and looking back at all of the little turns and twists, being a writer first in Hollywood before I was acting, even though I went to school for acting, like these were all sort of talismans that like were put to use when I got to set that got me here. So I'm just filled with gratitude. I'm trying to stay present, and hopefully if you are on your journey collecting your different trinkets and you're not sure how you're gonna use them yet, just trust that it's all feeding into the journey, and that, you know, it's harvest time is coming. Harvest time is coming.
You better preach. One thing Natasha gonna do is give you a word, amen? That's a harvest time is coming, okay? There, that scene in the hospital before the throw up, which was hilarious and uncomfortable. I saw so many. I was waiting for that moment.
I was in the back, I was like, oh, they're not ready.
Who was not ready? Everyone. None of us were ready.
Great, love it.
But it was so funny and so, again, irreverent. But right before that, the line that touched me the most was, there are 3 types of death. All right, yeah, see, they with us. 3 types of death. The physical one that we write poems about and we all know about, the ones where people stop caring about you, and then the ones where you stop caring about yourself. Okay, unable to can, but talk to me a little bit about that moment, and how it relates to How to Die Alone, and what you want audiences to really take from this project.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the latter 2 deaths, even though we are preoccupied by the first, you know, the idea of physically dying by yourself. But I think dying without coming home to yourself, and dying without allowing the love that other people are trying to give you is more devastating. And so I wanted to create a show that would generate conversation around those differences. And my hope is that the proper way, the how and How to Die Alone, it's with love. And it's with love with, you know, from yourself to yourself, and to receive the love that others give you, and to dispel of, I feel like, the myth that's perpetuated by all things rom-com, which I love, that romantic love is the one cure-all. I think that it's beautiful and wonderful, but I would be remiss if I made a show where that was the goal. Do you know what I mean? Because to me, that's not the journey that feels real. To me, my friends, it's this journey of getting to know yourself, finding yourself, protecting your peace, protecting your, like all of those things, those expressions of love for ourselves that we meaning me, I'll speak for myself, that I have come to know and love in this, you know, phase of my life. I want others to be inspired by that. And yeah, that's the purpose of the show. Yeah, be less alone.
My last question before we go is, you also had a line in there where Conrad literally said, "Woman King," to remind you of yourself and your power, and that you were fine, because you are fine, on and off screen. Can we get some noise for my sis? Actually, today the beat is beating. And it made me think about, when I was watching the show, it made me think about when Gina Prince Bythewood put out Love and Basketball. And that was her first time in Hollywood. That was her introduction to the world of storytelling. That's how we all got to know her. We have known you now for a while, but not as a showrunner, creator, and all the different things that we got to experience you as. So what do you hope How to Die Alone says to the world about the type of creative and person you are and hope to be in this space?
Oh my goodness, great questions. This is the most vulnerable piece of art I've put out into the world. When I was given the opportunity to develop a show, you know, the executives over at HBO, you know, slid, the hypothetical white piece of paper across the desk and was like, "What do you want to say?" And it paralyzed me for a long time, but I knew I had to be fearless and I had to put my shit on the page. And that radical honesty with myself is what you guys are gonna see this season and every season again, knock on wood, if we get multiple.
We're claiming that.
We're claiming that. And so I think for me, I'm excited for audiences to get to know me. I think that they know my character, Kelly. They know Belinda from White Lotus. And I'm so grateful for the fandom and the love and the support. But I'm excited for audiences to get a better sense of who I am and what I stand for and what I fuck with. And yeah, I think my love of storytelling. And I would love for them to walk away with an appreciation for the kinds of stories that I'm trying to tell.
I love that. Natasha Rothwell, we are so excited for you. Make sure you guys check out How to Die Alone, September 13th on Hulu. And the trailer is out officially.
Yes, the trailer just dropped.
Yeah, so while you guys are promoting and going home, make sure you guys retweet, or I'm sorry, Twitter's not a thing no more. Threads it, share it on your stories, TikTok it. Let everybody know that they must watch How to Die Alone, September 13th on Hulu, starring the one and only Natasha Rothwell.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming.